Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Cecilia, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for today's Battery and Precious Metals presentations. Our next live presentation comes from Southern Silver Exploration. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the left of the slides. If you're interested in scheduling a meeting with Southern Silver Exploration, please click on the Meetings tab found on the left navigation bar. You will be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Rob McDonald, Vice President of Exploration of Southern Silver Exploration, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol SSVFF and on the TSXV under the symbol SSV. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you very much, Cecilia, and thank you all for joining us in this presentation. And I would like to speak to you today about primarily our Cerro Las Manitas skarn project. It's located in Durango, Mexico, and we are busy developing this into the next major silver resource in Mexico. I will be making forward-looking statements during this presentation, so please be advised I'll be using languages like could, expect, estimate, and so these are to be considered as forward-looking as we move through the presentation. And so with Southern Silver, we are primarily focused on our Cerro Las Manitas silver lead zinc skarn system located in Durango, Mexico, which is presently one of the largest and highest grade undeveloped silver-based projects in the world, with indicated and inferred resources totaling 335 million silver equivalent ounces at an average grade of 326 grams per ton silver equivalent. The resources break out into about 40% in the indicated category and 60% in the inferred category. The project is located in a well-established silver mining district in Mexico, in Durango, Mexico, and we are surrounded by producing companies, meaning that we are in a very desirable and well-established development location. We have just released a PEA on the project, which shows a 15-year mine life, robust project economics, high revenues and free cash flow, as well as balanced precious and base metal revenues. We own 100% of the project, and we have over $5 million currently in our treasury to continue ESG initiatives, permitting, further drilling on the project, as well as engineering and other corporate objectives. Looking forward, and I'll get into this as I move through the presentation, we have a resource update pending within the next couple of weeks. We are currently working on engineering upgrades to the PEA. We have new drilling on a sister project that we have within the company at our Oro project in southern New Mexico. And then we have greenfields exploration on a third project that we have in the portfolio, our Hermanas Gold Silver Project, again located in southern New Mexico. But I'll get back now to Cerro Las Manitas, which is currently one of the largest and highest grade undeveloped silver-based projects in the world. We see from the chart here, we have tonnage on the x-axis, grade on the y-axis, and the size of the bubble indicates the size of the deposit. So in terms of the size of the deposit, we are one of the larger deposits out there, and we tend to have higher grades than some of the comparable deposits. This is in part because we are an underground sulfide deposit, and we have the grade established to carry the development of that style of project. So we believe in terms of the size, we are very well positioned in a continuing development of the project as we move forward. The capital markets profile of the company, as of the beginning of February, we're trading at around 19.5 cents Canadian. This translates into about a $57 million market cap. We believe we're undervalued in that respect. We have our top shareholders, including Electrum Global Holdings, some other institutional shareholders, and management and directors. You see the chart that we have here stabilized at this level in the 15 to 25 cent range. And we've been trading at that level for much of the last quarter and well into the first quarter of 2022. We have analyst coverage through Red Cloud Securities and Fundamental Research, as well as newsletter coverage from the Caesars Report, the Silver Stock Investor, as well as goldsilver.com and Gold Silver Chartist. We feature an experienced management team and board of experienced mine finders with a history of success, particularly in Mexico. You look through the Rolodex of the different projects that the board members in particular have been involved in, and see a number of active mines, historic mines, a number of world-class deposits, including projects like Peñasquito, Hemlo, Esque Creek, Cerro Las Gatos as well. So it's a group of people that know what major projects look like. They know how to advance these projects through the exploration and into the development stage, bringing the projects to a production decision and transitioning the projects either into production or through work with their own companies, or through transitioning the company to a major that puts the project into production. So within the company, we have 3 projects. The flagship, of course, is our Cerro Las Manitas project. Again, it's 100% owned. It's a silver-enriched skarn CRD system. We've spent over $35 million on acquisition and exploration of the project since 2011. We have new PEA results and further resource expansion now pending. We have other projects, earlier stage projects, including our Oro project. It's also 100% owned. It's a large laramide copper moly porphyry. We have completed some drilling on the project, and we have assays pending, and I'll get to that a little bit later in the presentation. Our Hermanas project, we have an option to own 100% of that project. It's a much earlier stage. We are in the permitting stage on that and are looking forward to drill testing the project a little bit later in 2023. Cerro Las Manitas sits in the heart of the Faja de Plata of north central Mexico. We are located just 70 kilometers northeast of Durango, Mexico. We're located in a safe jurisdiction around non-narcotic related agriculture. We're on the east side of the mountains, of the coastal mountains in the Altiplano. As I like to joke, we're out in the middle of the bean fields, not the marijuana fields. Again, it makes it a very safe area to be working in and to be operating in. We have federal highways running through the property. There's power lines, rail lines. We operate from the town of Guadalupe, Victoria, which is located south of the main project area, and it's only a 10-minute drive to get to the project. So again, lots of infrastructure, these being some of the key elements in terms of eventual development of a project, including access, power infrastructure, as well as a ready and able workforce, local workforce to be brought to bear in the development and production of the project. We have our exploration permits in place. We have social license agreements in place with the local ejido, and our exploration and development team are embedded within the local community of Guadalupe, Victoria, from which we pull much of our workforce, our local workforce. So really the face of Southern Silver in Mexico is Mexican, and we're very, very proud of that and continue moving forward and pushing initiatives in that regard as we bring the project further through the development phase. We've started initial baseline studies. These are a work in progress, and they'll be part of the, sort of the boxes that you tick in terms of developing a project or bringing a project to a development decision. This is the Cerro. What you see in the foreground is one of the divided highways that run right through the project, one of the aforementioned bean fields. The actual project area is only a few hundred meters away from this federal toll highway. We access the project via the overpass on the left of the graphic, and this comes directly from the town of Guadalupe, Victoria. We have currently identified 4 different mineral deposits on the western side of the Cerro, and we have 2 deposits identified on the eastern side that have been part of the most recent resource update. Along the northern margin, we've now identified new mineralization, and it is in that area that we look at building our resources and providing the pending resource update on the project. This is the breakdown of the mineral resources that we have to date in both the indicated, so 137 million ounces silver equivalent in the indicated category, 198 million ounces silver equivalent in the inferred category. You see the breakdown of the silver mineralization. So now in both those categories, over 100 million ounces of silver, as well as about 2.7 billion pounds of combined lead and zinc. You can see the breakdown of the mineral of the different deposits, with the skarn front being the largest of the known mineral deposits, accounting for 18 million tons of the just under 32 million ton deposit that we have in the project to date. So in terms of the PEA, we completed that in the fall and reported the results in December. And so we're looking at a long 15-year mine life, robust production, and robust project economics with excellent leverage to silver and zinc prices, which have been doing well lately, and forecasts into this year and beyond is continued strength in both the silver and zinc prices. We have in our base case at an after-tax NPV at 5% of $349 million US, with an internal rate of return of 17.9. At a base case plus 15% increase in the metal prices, that NPV rises to $561 million, and the internal rate of return grows into the mid-20s at 24.4%. Base case revenues are very robust at $3.7 billion. And we see balanced precious and base metal revenues, with silver representing 42% of the revenues and zinc representing 39% of the revenues in the cash flow model. We are located in a very mining-friendly jurisdiction with active mines surrounding the property, located in the very mining-friendly state of Durango, Mexico. And you see on the right is a breakdown of the after-tax cash flow. And one of the things I wanted to highlight, within the first 8 years of production, we're looking at an average after-tax free cash flow of $84 million a year. And so that, again, is big bucks. It grows, again, considerably if you look at base case plus 15%. But even in the base case scenario, again, it's quite robust production and robust cash flow throughout the first 8 years of the project and beyond. And this is reflected in the production scenarios. And we have modeled life of mine production out of the 32 million ton deposit. We're seeing 24.5 million tons reporting into the mine plan. The average NSR of that 24.5 million tons is $128 per ton. So again, good cash flow. And you can see the production scenario. The engineers have been very good in scheduling. And so you're seeing more silver production, more base metal production in those first 8 years. And again, this results in around 13.4 million ounces silver equivalent being produced annually within those first few years. It does drop off in the latter half of the mine plan, but that also means that you can see more value being added with resource expansion, which we are looking at about to announce within the coming weeks. Model production, 24.5 million tons in a 15-year mine life. We're seeing the total life of mine production at 168.8 million ounces silver equivalent. Of that, there's over 70 million ounces of silver alone. So even on a silver basis, this is a very substantial mine that compares favorably with many silver deposits that are being transitioned into mines as we speak by both intermediate and senior metal producers. We're looking at, in terms of further project updates and where we think we can continue to add value to the project, new mineral deposits and new mineralization being added to the base case resources. We should have an update on that within the coming 2 weeks. We are looking at adding gold recovery to the cash flow model. We didn't have a full handle on the payables of gold, so we've left it out of the cash flow model. Again, this could add good value, particularly in the earlier years, and again, affecting pay down of the project. And then we're also having a hard look at ore sorting, and it's essentially a pre-sort that would have the ability to reduce the project infrastructure, reduce the capital expenditures, reduce the capital intensity of the project, which again will speak to increasing the internal rate of return and the NPV moving forward. And so where we're looking at adding the resources, it's right in, and you can see in terms of the mine plan, it's a standard skarn CRD system with a central intrusion that acts as the heat pump of the system, with the mineral resources localized around the outside of the central intrusion. We're looking at, we've identified 6 mineral deposits, and you can see them rendered in 3D on the right, and it's around the northern area that we're looking at adding the new mineral resources. And you can see that here in this next graphic, where we've been drilling along the northern flank of the Cerro. It's an area that extends, you can see it on the right, about a 400-meter strike length, around 400 meters down dip, and it connects 2 previously known deposits, the Mina Labacona deposit on the right and the Skarn Front deposit on the left. So in this respect, we're getting mineralization that will report to the mill earlier and again have positive impacts on the internal rate of return and the NPV of the project moving forward. So something to look out for as we move the project forward, and we should have results from this work within the next 2 weeks. And so further work on the project. We'll continue the ESG work on the pathway to production, including establishing permitting parameters for the project, starting baseline studies on the project, and continuing with social and government engagement. We've established some initial budgeting for infill drilling. We're in the process of getting a handle on the geotech program. And then we are continuing with metallurgical test work, including the gold recoveries as well as the ore sorting. So, and these then build into the technical opportunities for the project and things to look forward to. Again, mineral resource update, ore sorting, and looking at the gold recovery. And so that's basically it for Cerro Las Menitas. Very briefly, I'd like to touch on our Oro project and our Hermanas project. These are earlier stage projects that we have in the portfolio located in southern New Mexico. Oro being a little bit further along, it's a larger laramide copper moly porphyry system, and Hermanas being a gold silver epithermal vein system. And a little bit more of an overview on these projects. Oro, we own this project 100%, large property package. We've completed 4 drill holes on the main porphyry targets on the project. We believe that the porphyry systems could have some similarities to El Chino or Tyrone, 2 other major copper mines located to the north within New Mexico. We've completed drilling. We've reported 2 holes from that drilling, identified some good smoke, and it's helped us vector in with our additional drilling. We have assays to report from holes 12 and 13 and are looking at having those out in the coming 4 to 6 weeks. So again, news flow, pending news flow to keep an eye out for. The Hermanas Project, again, it's earlier stage. We option to own 100% with geology that's very favorable to a large epithermal gold-silver vein system. We're in the permitting stage, and we'll be looking at drilling that in the latter parts of 2023. So again, news flow pending in the latter part of the year. So why Southern Silver? And just to wrap it all up, we have diverse property package with both exposure to precious and base metals as well as EV metals with respect to the zinc, silver, copper, and copper metals. Our PEA results have shown very robust asset value to the CLM project, and with engineering upgrades, we believe that we can make this project better. And so that's what we're working on in the first quarter of 2023. And then we are looking at being able to report results, at least starting within the coming weeks and extending into the coming months. We have ongoing work at the Oro Project with assays pending, and again, permitting for drilling in 2023 at Hermanas. And so that's it for the presentation. And thank you very much for tuning in. So it looks like, yes, okay, we have some questions here. I have a question that what are the catalysts for revaluation of Southern Silver? I highlighted some of those within the project. It's going to be a mix of both adding new resources with much of that resource that we're adding being able to fit within the current 15-year mine plan of the project. So what is significant is that when we're looking at adding those resources, we would be looking at being able to maybe substitute some higher grade mineralization for lower grade mineralization in the early part of the mine plan, but then also adding resources in the latter part of the mine plan. So, in terms of this particular graphic, which showed, 13.4 million ounce silver equivalent production in the first half of the mine plan, if we could add another 2 or 3 years with these latest resources that we look to be adding, that would be quite beneficial, as then you'd be pushing it out to 10 or 11 years of having very, very significant silver equivalent mineralization. We think that we can add some value on the metallurgical side by adding gold into the process flow sheet. The gold, it looks like, and you can see there is combined over 100,000 ounces of gold that has not been factored into the economics of the project. Much of that gold, in terms of the distribution, is in some of the areas, the earlier areas to be mined, and that might be up in the Blind El Sol and in the Las Victorias area, as well as here in the Mina La Bacona areas. And so adding mineralization in the early part of the mine plan, or adding gold mineralization, will not only increase the value of mining blocks in that first part, but it will also again maybe bring in new mineralization that would have fallen just under cutoff in the earlier mining plan. So there's a bit of a double bang for the buck. We're working on that, and we should have results out, I would say, within the next 4 to 8 weeks on that. And then it's just to continue de-risking the project as we move forward, ticking off the boxes that the majors want to see, and to get them interested in either joint venturing the project or buying the project outright. The project all-in sustaining cost is $13.27, and so with respect to other mining projects, that is quite a competitive value. Again, as we look further and further at the engineering, we think that there is we can tighten that up a little bit moving forward, and that's part of some of the engineering work that we're doing to try and reduce operating costs in the overall process flow sheet that can be added into the cash flow model of the project. Key milestones for 2023 is another question, and again, it's a resource update, engineering updates, and then we are continuing to look at areas where we could have continued resource expansion. And so this might be in some of these areas. Actually, it's probably better here that you can see on the right panel, or the right graphic in this panel, that you can see mineralization on the western side, which is on the left in that graphic, extends down to over a kilometer below surface. On the eastern side, which is on the right, mineralization only extends down to around 400 meters, maybe 500 meters in some places. And there's no particular reason to believe that mineralization does not extend further in the South Skarn, the Mina Labacona, and the new North Felsite area that we've just been drilling. And so there's fairly wide open areas at depth. And so what we're looking at now is refining some of the targeting, getting targeted exploration into that area to expand the mineral resources, to take this project beyond the 32 million tons that we have, beyond the 32 plus that we have with the new resources that we're about to add, and maybe start pushing that more towards a 40 million ton deposit or into a 40 to 45 million ton deposit. The net effect to that is that the larger deposit makes a project more desirable for some of the larger miners that are looking for being able to establish smelter, mill and smelter contracts for 15 to 20 years. We already have 15 years. Pushing it into the 20 years makes it desirable for some of the bigger players in the industry. And the capital position, so I have a question here about speaking to the capital position that we have. We have $5 million Canadian, just over $5 million Canadian sitting in the bank right now without any further exploration, but continuing on our engineering and the further assessment work. That's more than enough money to keep the project moving forward. If we were looking at doing any robust exploration, we may have to look at further funding, but that would be going to supplement monies that we already have in the Treasury, not looking at having to fully fund another, $2, $3, $5 million dollar program. So we are quite well funded with the ability to move forward, and even with exploration on a more limited scale, with maybe a small raise needed to fund any sort of larger programs we may contemplate. And so that's basically those are all the questions that I have right now. If there's anything more, I'd be happy to answer.